Are you a tourist or a traveler? I've wanted to be a traveler my entire life, but it's scarier and riskier. Growing up as a tourist, I've never needed to make new friends. I've never needed to learn the language, and I've never needed to know the area or the culture. I just needed to know what things to do, which places to see, to have the most fun before leaving. But this past week, I finally chose to become a traveler. I finally chose to change my entire mentality. On February 26th, I flew to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil for 10 days as a traveler. My goal was not to just have fun anymore. My goal was to learn about and live the culture, which meant showing up to this foreign country by myself, knowing nobody, and making new friends, learning the language, studying the culture, and knowing the area. I couldn't just use tourist attractions as the excuse and escape for my fear and loneliness. I had to build a life here. The first and most important thing I needed to do was learn the language. I knew zero Portuguese, but I found a language learning school nearby called the Caminos Language Center. They offer weekly group Portuguese classes for all levels, starting every Monday for about $200 a week. Classes start at 9 a.m. and end at 1 p.m. And on Fridays, you typically go on a school field trip to a local museum or the farmer's market, for example. My goal coming into the school was really to just learn Portuguese, but Caminos ended up doing so much more than that. They actually helped start the foundation for my life here, because with each class that week, I got closer and closer with my classmates, Mallory, Lena, Nate, and Harry, and my teacher, Pedro. I made friends with their friends and got to know people from other classes too through the organized events that Caminos puts on every afternoon, like volleyball, walking tours, and even a boat party one night. My new friends weren't exactly locals, but lots of them had just moved here or were staying for a month or longer. It showed me two things. First, just how diverse the people in Rio actually are, and two, how Rio is a place that's becoming more and more popular for expats to move to and live here. The Camino School also offered surf lessons through a partnership with a local surf school here. Rio's a beach city, so surfing is a big part of the Carioca culture here. And I've never really surfed before, so I signed up for a few classes thinking that it would just be a fun activity to try in my free time. But signing up for those surf classes actually changed my traveler's experience in ways that I never would have expected, because the surf school is where I met my two best friends for the next 10 days, Mike and Robin. I had just finished my surf class that day and was actually ready to head home because I wasn't feeling great. I saw these two guys hanging out by the surf shop, but ignored them and kept packing up my things. But then Mike introduces himself to me and asks if I want to get a coconut with him and Robin. I really didn't want to, but out of politeness, I agreed. And little did I know, after just one coconut, we all made plans to surf together the next morning. And that morning ride led to another one the next morning, and then to another one. And for the rest of the week, we surfed together every morning. And with each ride and with each coconut, we became really good friends. We called ourselves the Morning Peddlers. The funny thing that I learned later is that Mike and Robin stopped doing surf classes a while ago, but they still hung out by the surf shop every day, partly because it was a good way to meet new people who would come for lessons. Like me, I started doing the same thing, and I met a bunch of new friends and surfers like Gabriel and Carlos. I've learned that while building a life in a new place is a lot of luck, you can also be intentional about it, like how I joined the Camino School to learn Portuguese instead of just learning it online by myself. Or like how Mike and Robin hang by the surf shop, knowing that they'll meet lots of new people who they could become friends with. And another way to be intentional is by finding activities to meet people, like futebol. Futebol is basically volleyball, but without using your arms, and it's extremely popular here. Everywhere you go along the beach, you'll see people playing and practicing. I figured if this is a big part of the culture, then I want to learn about it. So I stopped by a practice one day and asked if I could join using my newly learned Portuguese. And after my first practice, I started going to training every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. with my new teammates and my new coach, Leo, who was both playful and demanding. With each practice, I got to know my teammates better. And more importantly, I think they wanted to get to know me better too. I think that frequency of interaction is really important in developing relationships because it takes effort to get to know someone. And if you're never gonna see them again, then there's less reason to put in that effort. And within just a few days, I had a community at Caminos. I had a community at the surf shop. I had a community at Fuchivali. Life here really started to feel kind of like home. And remember how I said it's a lot of luck too? Well, luck is exactly how I met two of my best friends here, just sitting on the beach. Breno, my crazy die-hard Brazilian soccer fan, heard me speaking English over the phone on the beach and asked where I'm from. And at some point in the conversation, we started bonding over Brazilian soccer. I knew nothing about Brazilian soccer, except that it's a crazy and must-see experience in Brazil. So, Breno took me to watch and root for his favorite team, Vasco da Gama, which after 3 games is now also my favorite team. And at each game, I met all of his friends, I met his girlfriend's friends, and slowly, my life just kept feeling more like home. I even had a soccer team to root for now. In the beginning, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture, the places, the area. I didn't even know how I was gonna spend my time there. But with some luck, some intention, some effort, day by day, I built a life here. And by the end of it, I didn't just have a bunch of new friends. I had my go-to coffee shop before surfing, my regular lunch spot after Portuguese class, my fastest route home to make it to Fuchivali on time, my saved TV channel to watch my favorite soccer team play. I had become a Carioca. I had finally become a traveler.